Hi, I'm Stephen Thompson, author of the book It Just Makes Sense, 7 Principles for a Joyful and Stress-Free Life. Today I want to talk to you about beliefs, how beliefs come about, and how important they are in everyday living, especially in all of the actions that you take towards improving your life, or if you make bad choices and have negative beliefs, how they really affect your life, even to the point of creating stress, which of course is unhealthy. So, what are beliefs? Well, beliefs are the source of everything that you do. Let me repeat that. Beliefs are at the source of everything that you do. They actually start out being formed when you're in the womb, because through the cellular transference you get some of your mother's beliefs, some of your father's beliefs that are now inherent inside of you, and then after you're born, all of the outside influences that come towards you when you're very open and receptive to learn are starting to form these beliefs, and the beliefs are actually stored in the subconscious mind. Now, what happens in the theory of this is, and actually science proves this now to be true, your beliefs communicate from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, and they tell you how to act. So if you believe that you're stupid, the essence is that you will not take chances and you will feel that you're stupid, so you might lose some confidence in acting out in your everyday living. Also, the things that you have been told about you go in and are stored as beliefs. Now I mentioned stupid, but maybe the belief can come in the way of saying, I am fat. Or maybe the belief can come in and say, no one likes me. All of these subtle beliefs start to have an effect on how you perceive yourself as a human being and how you act on that perception. So many times when people come into my office and clients come into my office and we're talking about what's going on in their lives, I really get a very clear picture of who they are by how they speak about themselves. We know people that we label their cup is always half empty, meaning that they're kind of negative in the way that they look at life. Or their cup is always half full. Those tend to be the people that are perceived as being joyful and happy, and they always are optimistic, and they're looking for a really bright outlook in things that they do and see and say and how they generally conduct themselves. When people come into my office and they sit down and they start to explain to me what's going on in their lives and what problems they might be having, all I have to do is focus on what they're really saying from the beliefs that they seem to hold. I've noticed people say something really optimistically, but it's a cover-up, because as soon as they get done, they go, except when, or I used to have a great smile, but, and they cross themselves out. So I want you to kind of start listening to how you speak. Listen to the way people describe things to you and see if you can then pick out what they believe underneath. Have you ever had to listen to someone who's very strongly opinionated, let's say into politics, or about something that's going on in the community they don't like, and you just hear them going on and on and on about it, and all of a sudden you start to get agitated, you start to feel in your body some stress? Maybe they're crossing a boundary of a belief that you hold, and then you have to learn how to deal with that. So I wrote down some questions that people have asked me about beliefs, and we're going to see if we can share some of these questions with you. How do our senses relate to beliefs? Well, we're sensory-based people, and that's how beliefs are programmed. If you smell something that's really good, your belief goes in. I love the smell of this lasagna, let's say. Or if you smell something that is really bad, you might notice that you just stepped in dog poop. Well, when you do that, that sense goes in and it reminds you, dog poop bad, lasagna good. And you start basing things towards a comparison of good and bad, and your subconscious memorizes and programs all these things in your mind as a belief. Now, that's one sense, smell. We also have taste. Lasagna tastes good. That's a double hit to the positive in your beliefs. So that particular belief is now reinforced in your mind, and if someone comes up and says, what's your favorite food? You might just blurt out without even thinking about it, oh, I love lasagna. Because your beliefs are sending that message back to your mouth, which then takes action, okay? So the beliefs are all sensory based. Now we have some more. Feelings and touch, the kinesthetic part of your beliefs. Oh, that feels nice and soft and comfortable. Or ouch, that's sharp. Sharp can hurt. Soft is nice. Those start to form in your mind in ways that you're going to be making decisions about things you like and that you don't like. Sounds, the auditory part. Oh, hear the birds singing. Oh man, listen to that jackhammer. How come that cell phone always goes off and that ringtone is just hideous? Or, that's my favorite song. I just love listening to that. You start to form belief after belief based on sensory perception. How does the mind understand what's going on in your environment and the world around you? It's your beliefs and your perceptions of them that cause you to create the unique self that is you. So senses are very important. We have 5 normal dominant senses that are part of the frontal cortex, and that is taste, touch, smell, hearing, and sight. All of those are the dominant ones, but we now know there's some even larger than that, pleasure and pain. If you're in pain and you have something that goes on that hurts, your belief is strongly impacted about that. And you will then try to avoid pain. If something's very pleasurable, you will want to move more and more towards that. So there's lots of senses. We even talked before about the sense of balance. Having good sense of balance is another one. So there's some dominant ones that we use that are stored at a stronger resonance in the mind, and then there's some softer ones that we use just naturally and we don't even really think about. So the beliefs are a big part of who you are as a human being and how you act, and they're stored in the subconscious mind, and they have much more importance than, say, your conscious actions. Fact is, you can't have a conscious action without a belief sending that towards you in some form, and then it tells the conscious mind, this is how she's supposed to act, and we do that. So that gives us kind of an indication on how important beliefs really are. Now, a next question. It's a myth that the beliefs are hard to change or that they're going to take a long time, and how can we change the beliefs? Well, those are myths. Beliefs can be changed very easily. All you have to do is replace a negative belief with a positive belief, and how you do that a lot of times is as simple as repetition. If you're doing something in a negative way and you become aware that you're doing it in a negative way, it doesn't feel good through one of your senses, and you want to change it, you can look at the opposite. How would I like to do this instead? What would happen that in my life if I were acting out differently? Make a focused attention on trying to behave in a different way until you repeat it often enough that it becomes a new habit, and the new formed positive belief is starting to erase the negative belief. Now, sometimes the beliefs really never go completely away, but they go into what we call a dormant file in the mind where they're hardly ever used. So if you keep a proactive stance moving forward, the new belief starts to be more resonant and you start acting out on it because the other belief is less important now and it's farther down into a dormant state. So that's just one way of doing it. Another way is to what we call reprogram the belief. In the 70s, we used affirmations. Now we use positive belief statements that you will start to repeat in a very specific way over and over again until you actually reprogram the subconscious mind. We have lots of examples of how to do that in more detail in our workshops and in our books and things, but know that it's possible just by keeping yourself aware and in a positive state. And if you repeat those actions through either a statement, a declarative statement, I know who I am, or my gosh, I love everyone equally. Those kind of statements will start to open up and program those kinds of beliefs so that you live that kind of a lifestyle when you're faced with everyday environment. So that's a myth. It's hard to change. They're not. You just have to know what it is you would like to change and start moving in that direction. So what is the most common problem you notice that people have around beliefs? Most often, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, people that tend to be negative are always in judgment of other people around them. They always compare themselves to other people around them rather than looking at who they are authentically and how they would like to be. So people have these beliefs that have been programmed maybe by their upbringing, and they're challenged. Maybe they were scolded a lot by their father or their mother, or sometimes even punished for behaviors, or maybe people played tricks on them or called them gullible. Well, instead of looking at those things as this is who I am and I would like to be different, they just go on perpetuating the same old story. It's kind of funny. I deal a lot with addiction, and one of the things that most of the addiction therapists say is, we might know why a person has become an addict, but we know that almost every addict is addicted to their story. And by saying that, it's their beliefs that are telling the story. How they perceive things, they've locked it into their subconscious mind, and they're feeling like they're a victim, or they're wounded, or they're just out of control, and they tell you that. And here's the reason, and they go back and tell you why they were abused as a child, or that their father was an alcoholic, their mother was an alcoholic, they had a poor upbringing, and they go on about their story. It's all their beliefs that they're just spewing out. So my first thing is what I call the love bomb, and I use it this way. After I've listened to their story and shown respect, I write it down as they're talking and I repeat it back to them. And then I say, well, how would you like it to be instead? And it's really quite amazing when you watch them. They've not really thought about that, and they really don't have good answers. But after I work with them and we set a new goal and we get them started on what I call divine right tracking or divine right timing, to say, take a look and say, here's where I'm headed, here's what I want to see in my life, and these are the things I'm going to do to make that happen, they usually start getting a little different outlook on life. And it's very positive. So, saying that, your beliefs are important. They're stored in your subconscious mind, and they start when you're in the womb, and they continue on, and especially the first 6 years of your life, where you're so interested in learning, you're just in a huge absorption state, and you're setting all of these preconceived notions, and all these things that are going to affect you later on are starting to go into that subconscious file cabinet of memory. And the beliefs are affected by your senses. Each of the senses are talking to your mind all the time through either visual, auditory, taste, smell, touch, and feelings. And along with that, you can change your beliefs easily by how you behave and how you want to set a goal and start working on good, healthy habits that will promote and change that negative belief to a positive one. And also you can reinforce your positive beliefs. I know that my wife Kim was talking on one of the other videos about she had to learn to laugh. She was a very serious child, and she was very focused. And she found that things weren't going along as happily as she would like to have, and so she started practicing her laugh and starting to find more joy in her life. And just when she did that, everything started to change for her, and she was able to laugh much more readily, much more easily, and people around her started laughing with her, which brought her to a new state of awareness and a new state of confidence. So they're not hard to change. I encourage each of you to take a look at the beliefs you hold inside about the things that are going on in your everyday life. take a look at the ones that don't support you. Make a conscious effort to then rewrite that programming and start acting out in a new way. And the things that you already are doing really well, celebrate those and actually enhance those as well just by having more fun. So thanks a lot, and appreciate you watching.